Hi, welcome to Conscious Mind Tripping. My name is Audrey Newmont. I will be your host for the next little while. And tonight is going to be one of those nights. I have things to talk about that, number one, are challenging for me and might be challenging for you. I don't know. Might be enlightening for you, might be insightful, inspiring for you. In fact, some of it is designed to be that way, but before we get to the good stuff, I got to get to let's just say the other stuff. We won't call it good or bad. We'll just say it is what it is. I'm going to start with a bit of a story. I became a practitioner at Agape Spiritual Center way back in, I think it was somewhere around 2003. And in the training that we have as a practitioner, we study mainly Ernest Holmes, who wrote The Science of Mind, and powerful teaching. And it's a philosophy, a way of life, it's a faith. And it was amazing to learn, and it was very life-changing for me. We also studied all these people that they presented to us, like Walter Starkey here. He wrote It's All God. And for me at the time, it was rather challenging because I did not have much of a view about God, much of a view about me as a spiritual being. I started there and they'd be like, Audrey, we're all connected, we're all one. And I'd be like, yeah, I don't know about that. I'm here, you're there. I don't feel very oneness. I just feel, like I need a lot of help. And it was 4 years of training, and I learned a lot in that process. So why do I bring it up? Because it's a lot of the foundation of what I do. It's also a foundation when I included in there becoming a hypnotherapist and learning a lot about our controller, the mind. And then along the way, I started studying all these other people. So I studied Deepak Chopra quite a lot. In fact, I made a whole workshop out of his book, Resurrecting the Body and Reinventing the Body, Resurrecting the Soul. I did a whole workshop on that book. And then on my bookshelves here, I have How to Know God. I've got Super Genes, Super Brain. In my Audible library, I have a whole bunch of books. I probably read about 10 of his books. And it was amazing information and valuable in everything that I have become and who I am, and a lot of what I share with my clients. Fast forward, in around 2021, a friend of mine gave me the information to look at a series of videos. And it was one of the most disturbing things and times in my life. I'm not going to tell you what those videos are right now, but needless to say, in watching those videos and then subsequent videos after that, I learned a lot of let's call it the underbelly of society. And I started looking at things that on a lot of levels broke my heart. And well, let's just say it didn't break it. It really cracked it a lot. And it was a really hard thing to understand that children are at the effect of predators. Children, young adults, teenagers. I looked at a lot of different kinds of information. And in my mind, I thought, if they can go through this, I can learn about it and understand it and watch it. And Kathy O'Brien, she wrote a book called The Transformation of America. It was an excellent, another insight to what has been happening within our planet. And then since then, I have looked at a lot of information about all of that and figured out along the way that one of my heroes, Deepak Chopra, was involved. So I knew about this before the files came out. I've known it for a while. And at the time, I was like, oh, what do I do with this? I learned all this information, and I really liked the information. And I didn't get rid of any of his things. I just kind of dealt with it and came to an understanding within my own reasoning of what I wanted to do with it. So absolutely, the information that he shared was valuable and it was important. So when I learned about his involvement with the people that he's involved with, it was, let's just say, a challenging time. And along the way, I kept feeling like I should say something. I should do something. I was angry and I really got into my righteous anger about it. And I was like, I should, whatever, what can I do? And then along the way as well, somebody that's very, very important to me told me that I'm not to be a rebel. Because it wasn't just that I was learning about. I was learning about a lot of things that are just now coming out. So when they said, don't be a rebel, I was like, what do I do with this? And then I went back to, I know exactly what to do with this. And I did what I'm supposed to do. I've been holding it in prayer for all these years, and a lot of prayer, a lot of prayer, like every single day in prayer. So now this information has come out, and there's a part of it where it was like, okay, my prayers are answered in manifestation right now. I knew that there would be an answer. I knew that the prayers that I was praying for this to be revealed, for this to be eliminated, for these victims of these predators to be getting the help that they need, all of this was in my prayers. So now I'm looking at all of these responses in the spiritual community and all the different people that I know, because when you're a practitioner, you become friends online with all these people. And I'm looking at the outrage, and it's understandable. I mean, this is somebody that many of us looked up to. So I get the outrage. I've been there, done that. And again, when we're looking at our emotions, anger is on the fear side. And for those of you that have listened to me before, that means it's in there along with rage, anger, anxiety, stress, worry, confusion, all these feelings that are not who we're supposed to be, not where we're supposed to live. That's where we're supposed to learn. That's where we're supposed to grow. That's where we're supposed to gain that awareness of our unconsciousness and what it is that we are actually to do. So anger is right there. And in that anger, that's a victim anger. And anger is one of those interesting emotions, feelings that rides both sides. There's also that anger that has a reason. And I think this is a pretty good reason. I mean, somebody is doing these things. I think a lot of us at the moment are really angry. But the difference between that anger, it's a righteous anger. We have a right to be angry. So what do we do about it? So as I'm looking at all this business that's going on about this in my mind, I'm thinking, wow, this is now the opportunity to really talk about the kids. It's a time to talk about how we are, as a collective community, going to do what we should do to help these kids. And as I'm looking at where everybody's at, there's a lot of conversation around the community itself, and especially around Deepak Chopra. And many people are saying, well, we're going to eliminate everything that he's done, what he said. We're taking his material out, and we're going to do whatever it is that they're choosing to do. And so I'm looking at that and I'm like thinking, I didn't take his material out. Actually, I really like the material. And then I had to ponder it. I had to think about it. And I'm like, oh, what am I doing with all this? Kind of what has been taking me so long to respond. So as I'm looking at all of this, there's a part of me where it's going, what do we know? It's all God. It's all God. So we're all the presence of God. So Deepak never stopped being the presence of God. Deepak made a human choice. We all have free will. And he made a choice to do things that were not lined up with the best and highest for all humanity when you are taking advantage of anybody. So he had a dissociation from God. Some of the other teachings that I study Paul Selig, and the guides say that when we are in an experience like that, we are not, how did they say it exactly? I'll find that quote. But basically what they're saying is when we are having those kind of moments, it's basically like we are dissociated from God. We're not being what Rumi says, we're being that drop of water in the ocean as the ocean. We're separate from, we're not connected in our mind, in our controller, and in our heart. We can say whatever we say, but your actions are showing what it is that you do. So when I'm looking at all that material that I looked at and learned from, that is God. I know it, I feel it, I get it, and it's valuable teachings. So in the humanness that he is, he's not being that presence like we would expect him to be. So I'm not going to get rid of the books. I'm not going to get rid of the teaching. But what am I going to do about this? What do I do about it is I'm going to continue to do what I've been doing. I'm going to pray. I'm going to pray for my own understanding. I'm going to pray for our community. I'm going to pray for Deepak himself. I'm going to pray and know, like I've always been knowing, that these kids are getting that help. They're getting that support. They're getting where they are able to step out of that kind of experience. And as a collective, I think that that's one of the most important things that we do as practitioners, as spiritual leaders, as what we have been mandated to do and all the teachings that we've gone on. So I'm inviting us all to take that time to pray and to recognize God in all of this and make our lights shine so bright and be a collective community that comes together to support the best and highest for all of humanity. So I'm going to back this up a little bit and go into a little bit different of a subject that is still kind of related. I work with these clients, and I have this client that I was working with a week or so ago, and this person has a challenge connecting with their emotions. And your heart is the most important thing. So if we're not connected and understanding our emotions, then we're not using our heart and our mind in the best and most constructive way that we can. If we're suppressing feelings, if we're not working through the feelings, if we're not understanding the feelings, we're not getting to our beliefs. We're not getting to what it is that we get to transform to be living in the highest. So as I'm talking with this person, I was like, well, where do you feel anger? Do you get angry? No, I don't get angry very much. Well, where do you feel it? When I do get angry here. When I landed on, do you get sad? This person said, actually, I do. I get sad. So I said, well, where do you get sad? What happens? What's going on when you're feeling sad? This person said, well, I get sad when I'm looking at politics. And I was like, well, what about politics, creates that sadness for you? So this person went on and told me like this whole bunch of things about politics. And for years, like when he was a kid, this is what happened with politics. This is what he learned as he's going into teenage. And he's telling me all this information. It was actually very interesting. And then he says, "Oh, I know your political beliefs." And on a level, he was like, "Oh, I need to stop talking because that's what people do. Don't discuss politics." And so when he said that to me, I was like, "Well, actually, you don't know my political beliefs. We've never really talked about it. And my political beliefs way back when, long time ago, when I first registered to vote, probably around 18, I voted nonpartisan. I've never been a Democrat. I've never been a Republican. And for all these years, I've always voted where I could see, using my logic, looking at my reasoning, deduction, all of that, where I could see something where this would be the best and highest for all humanity." So as I'm talking to him, I'm explaining to him that I have the capacity to be liminal about it. And then I started looking at that word liminal. And that's not something that people use the word of a lot. It's not something that we have in our vocabulary a lot. So I want to show you a slide about what liminal looks like. And I'm going to add it to the screen right now. Here. And I want you to look at this. So when I'm explaining things with my clients, I'm using the controller as the guide. And this is like a different version of the controller. When you're in that liminal thinking, you're occupying a position at or on both sides of a boundary or of a threshold. Threshold can be like your choice point, and it's relating to a transitional or initial stage of a process. When I'm liminal, I'm not taking a side. I'm in the process of looking at things with my logic, reasoning, deduction, and coming to the best understanding that I can have for me, because I'm the only person that I can, have any control over what I'm thinking, what I'm doing, all of those things. Then when you're looking at subliminal, that's a word that more people can understand. They use it more, subliminal, and that's that part of you where there is the part where we're affected by, we can be manipulated. There is a program that's running. A lot of times we're not even aware of it. A lot of times it's what somebody has said, maybe over and over, and it can be, and I'm just going to say this, it can be where we get subliminally programmed to believe, think, do whatever. And why is this important? When we're all in a moment, because we all are, and there's choices that need to be made, and there's an understanding that we have the opportunity to gain, it's really important in the moment to recognize that we're all kind of in a liminal space at the moment. There's things happening, and many of us see things over here. Many of us see things over here. And in the moment, it's really rather divided in how we're seeing it. As an example, as I'm looking at the comments on some of these posts that people have been doing in the spiritual community, people are getting angry because of what somebody is expressing as their view of things. Another part of it is when we're liminal, we have the ability to step back. Like I look at all of this and I'm not judging any of it, what people are doing. It's just how they're reacting. But when I see it coming from an angry space and a blaming space or a shaming and all of those things where it's like, you shouldn't be thinking like that, you shouldn't be doing whatever. A lot of times that's coming from a subliminal belief system. It's coming from a subliminal program, and nothing wrong with it, nothing bad about it. But when we're looking at all of it, when we're in the subliminal and we're angry, this is happening and it shouldn't be happening. When we're in fear, I'm afraid this is going to happen. I'm worried that whatever. When we're in those kind of, or anxious, a lot of anxiety going around. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm afraid for my life. I'm afraid for my abundance, my wealth, my financial things. I'm afraid for my freedom. When we're looking at all of that and we're in that subliminal space, the challenge with it is we are not creating from a space of being in our power and being intentional about what it is that we're doing. When we're in fear, false evidence appearing real, those kind of feelings, we're open to suggestion. And kind of honestly, as I'm looking at all of this, I mean, this has been going on where I've been looking at this news for years, and I've been watching this play out and obviously not saying anything. I'm not supposed to say anything. I was told by somebody very important to me when I first started learning all this, because there was a part of it where I was like really angry, like righteously angry and very upset. And I wanted to scream about it. And this person that's very, very close to me said, Audrey, you're not to be a rebel. I'm not to be a rebel. I mean, I can't talk about this. No, you're not supposed to talk about it. But I was supposed to learn about it. And what I've learned from hours and hours and hours and hours over 7 years now is a lot. And it's important to really understand when we're in a moment and we're in this liminal space. The reason why I put that picture there on the very first slide, we're driving our car and it can look really dark, especially when we're learning what we're learning. A lot of things are getting revealed, and quite honestly, I think a lot more is going to be revealed. So what you're seeing, I've been looking at for years, and it's dark. There is this underbelly that's going on right now that is hard to fathom. So I've been in a liminal space for a while, and in the space that we're all in right now, it is a liminal space. We're not sure exactly what's going to happen. We're not sure exactly what we're, going to be coming out on at the end of that tunnel. So it can be very disturbing because people like to know where they're going. And many people that I've worked with, it's like, Audrey, I'm real comfortable in my uncomfortable. I don't know what that'll look like. So how can you know what it's going to look like? How can you make it better? How can you make it where you're the adult driving and you're not gripping the wheel? You're doing something else. And what that something else is. Sometimes it's easier to just touch it with your finger. Hello. Like I'm saying here, when you're between versions of yourself, between endings and beginnings, clarity and confusion, at a level, you're at a choice point. And that's a liminal space. And it can be uncomfortable, like the ground has vanished beneath your feet. And this is where, believe it or not, growth happens. This is where you get to own your power. And the old form dissolves so a new one can emerge. So spiritually, the liminal is not about holding on. It's allowing transformation to happen. So how do you make that happen? How do you own the transformation? That's the big question, isn't it? These are things that you do. Meditation, and number one is a really good one. When people hear that word meditation, it's like not everybody, a lot of people think, I can't meditate. I cannot sit still. I cannot just sit and like not think about anything. A lot of times meditation doesn't look like that. I meditate all the time. I meditate when I'm cleaning. I meditate when I'm walking in the woods. I meditate sitting on the beach. I meditate when I'm driving sometimes. And what that means is I'm clearing out the debris. As I'm in that moment, I'm allowing that higher part of me to flow through and give me the answers. Like, for instance, this morning, I came here early and I was meditating. I was like, I really don't want to do this video. I really don't want to do this thing. Spirit's like, well, you're going to do it anyway. Okay, so I'm here and I'm meditating. And I was looking at all these books that I have by Deepak. What do I say about this? What do I do about this? What does it even mean? How do I make sense of it for me? And that's what I was telling you at the beginning. So my higher self is helping me so that I can do what I'm doing now, because this isn't my first favorite thing to do. So when you're meditating, you're asking, you're allowing that part of you to guide you. Like when you're in that dark tunnel, it's the thing that turns on the headlights. It's the thing that turns on the interior lights. It's the thing that gains you that clarity, that calm peace of mind, so that you can be in your intentional, creative thinking, your critical thinking. Now, what else you do? There's all these things that you do to create, and you can read that on your own. You're recognizing these things. You're noticing. I'm going to be posting these. I don't want to go through and read them all because I'm looking at my time and I don't want to go over. So take the time to look at these and recognize in your own life what it is that you want to do for you, so that you, when you're in this moment of whatever that darkness is, and you want to go from here to the manifestation of the light, as you're moving closer, think about it. If you're in that tunnel, the more you're doing these things, it gets brighter, gets brighter, it gets brighter, and you can emerge past the darkness. And in all these years of looking at all this stuff, I've had many moments of this. What else do you do with this? So you use this moment and allow in the moment. Liminal energy is that pure, alive, potential humming in the engine before you decide where to steer. It's the ignition turned, the keys in the slot, ready, but the roar of the motion, or the motion hasn't begun. The roar of the engine hasn't like, grrr, I'm ready to go. It's the second after you ask the critical question. So when you're here you're in that darkness, when we go to that critical thinking, asking those critical thinking questions, that's when we're going to find those answers. That's when we're going to allow for our best and highest to happen and expand it out there for the best and highest for our friends, for our community, for our city, our state, our country, and the world. When you're in the moment where you're letting the answers come from a place of being constructive with it, not only are you changing you, you're being a light in the world. And believe it or not, that's really powerful. So in the back of my book, I have this thing about being the most valuable player in the game of your life. Meditation, visualization, visioning, and prayer. Prayer is probably one of the most important things that I think that we do. And to be clear, I've had to really get in my own mind about prayer, because when I was a kid growing up, and the church that I went to, they said we should pray to God, and da 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 da, and all this stuff. I finally got to the point where I was like, I've been praying and it ain't working. God is like not answering my prayers. Well, the challenge is we have to pray in a way that God can hear us. We have to pray in a way that is intentional and it is deliberate. We have to pray with faith. We have to pray with trust. We have to pray connected to that higher part of us. When I'm talking about the first driver, and by the way, I'm going to be very soon in the next couple weeks, I'm going to be having a evening where I am talking about the first driver. I have a whole lot of information on it. I have a whole PowerPoint. That first driver is the biggest part of you. That first driver, you call it whatever you want to call it, but it's an energy that is intelligent, that flows in and as and through all of us. When you're thinking about your beautiful heart, we're connected through our hearts to something beyond our imagination. And then when we're using our quantum computer and we're praying from that connection to our source intelligence, that's where magic happens. That's where we bring our feelings to the fullness of who we are, rather than those fear feelings. When we are owning that MVP and being the most valuable player, the prayer is that conversation. Think of it as this is fertile soil, and we're being a gardener. We're putting a seed into that soil, and we're trusting and knowing that that is in the soil, and in our appreciation, it's already done. We are creative. We have every ability to manifest those things that we're praying on. I think sometimes where people get stuck is they have expectations possibly on timing. Oh, I prayed and it didn't happen. There's a lot of things that go on between a prayer and owning it and in the actual, if you're planting a seed in the soil, it doesn't just come up overnight and you've got this beautiful oak tree. It takes the time. So if you are praying, when you are praying, and you're having that faith and that trust that I am planting the seed and I know it's happening, you're having that faith and you're keeping yourself on your 101 freeway and you're taking those actions that match the prayer. You're taking those moments to recognize if you fall out of that faith, if you fall out of that prayer, if you're going back into those fear feelings and you need to realign and get back on the road. The amount of times that I have prayed from that space and my prayers are answered is incredible. So along with the prayer, there's that part of visualization, visioning. So in the prayer, I own that vision. Like, for instance, in the prayer that I'm saying that we as a collective can do with regard to these people that have been at the effect of this behavior. When we have that vision of a world that is working with the benefit, the freedom, the blessings for all humanity, I can see that. I can vision that. And that is where I am going. When we put that vision in our mind and we're creating from that place, that is, again, it's very, very powerful. The way that I learned to pray is through the science of mind, and Ernest Holmes was brilliant about it. And he says so much that was just amazing. I'm not going to go into it all right now, And I'm actually looking to see how much time I'm dealing with here. There we go. So what I wanted to do is pray and hold that space, not only for the children, but for all of us that are experiencing the pain of what we're learning, experiencing the grief of what we're understanding. And in the prayer, lining it up for us to really be in that connection with our higher self, being that part of us that is so grand. You have to remember, when I'm talking about the first driver, it's all that there is. It's everything. And we are that. And there's a little bit of that, or a lot of it, that flows through our human body. And we're creating our experience with our thoughts, with our feelings, and using that as our source. When we're being the adult in the front seat, that's the connection from the higher self to the kid in the back seat. That kid in the back seat, that's a beautiful part of us. That's that spontaneous part of it, that innocence, that creativity, that beauty, that joy, all these great things that our kid in the back seat is, who we are. But the kid in the back seat's also the one that's in the tunnel. The kid in the back seat's the one that's in that liminal space going, what's going on here? What am I doing? And we're just laughing the other day. I think it was last night. This person had a dream, and funny enough, somebody else close to them had a dream, same dream. And in the dream, they were in the back seat of the car and they're trying to reach over and drive. And sometimes that's what our kid is doing. They don't know how to drive. They're a kid, right? So we have to be that adult, and we have to let them know we have something super powerful that's driving us, that we are all connected. So you're assuring the kid in the back seat, I see your fear. I get it. I see your anger. I see those things. And you're in the process of being the adult and working through those things with the kid. So when we are praying, we're being the adult in the front seat and really owning that moment of now where we're able to have whatever it is that lights up our way. So when I'm praying in those liminal spaces, I'm looking ahead and I can see in that light, it's a really good world. And we're creating it from great intention. And we're catching ourselves when we fall off track, when we're off the freeway and we're on the victimization loop, or we've driven off somewhere we don't even want to go. That prayer will lead us back to the 101 and the manifestation of what it is that we are gaining. And it can be anything. Again, you want to be clear. And when you're praying, there's a part of it where you really want to understand it's a feeling. It's not so much about the words. The words are kind of guiding the feeling. A lot of times I pray and it's not a lot of words. It's a lot of feelings. Sometimes I pray in a song. I pray in a lot of different ways. And each time the attention is on the solutions. And I know they're happening. So if you're praying and you don't have that faith of knowing, you got to realign that prayer. You got to look at, what am I not believing here? And you go back to the kid. It's always about the kid. So we're going to take a minute and pray, and I invite you to be in the process with me and be in the moment with me. Just so we're all clear, when I pray, there's a lot of energy because I am massively connecting with that higher part of me. It's a vibration. It's an energy that literally I feel it in my body. These waves of feeling, and As you can see already, my eyes will get watery, and they sometimes will pour water out of them. Looks like tears. I'm not actually crying. It's an overload of energy, and my body just simply does that. So as you are in the moment with me, just know that that's what happens. So we're going to take a minute. And as I breathe in this breath, recognizing this presence, I love to call God now, this presence that is everywhere, that is divine, that is so much. It's just beyond words. I recognize that I am that I am. This energy, this love, this peace, this joy, this creativity, this intelligence, it flows through me as me all the time, especially right now as I'm claiming, owning this word, speaking this word, and knowing that in each person that is hearing this word, that right where you are, God is, divine intelligence is, source is, this unnameable beauty, this power, this peace is flowing through you as well as I speak this word, directing the traffic as it were, being the Uber driver that I am. So as we speak this word together, we're knowing that divine right action is taking place. That as we own this truth, that light is lighting up that darkness, that so much is getting revealed. And that as we all come together as a community to support each other, to see each other, to listen to each other, to see these various points of view from a liminal space, and know that the only truth that really resides is that divine right action is taking place for all humanity. That as we're able to open our eyes and see what's going on, that is where we can share our light. We can see the truth. We can own the truth. We come together as a collective community in this prayer, loving each other regardless of what your beliefs are, regardless of the differences. There's no you and them. There's just all of us coming together to bring about a better life, coming together to reveal what has been hidden, to reveal that darkness. And it's right there. And it's so not grand. It's nowhere close to the creative brilliance that we are. So as we share that brilliance, as we be in this love, in this light, as we love each other through our differences, as we come together and know that all of these people who have been affected by this are getting the light, the love, the freedom, as we come together in that collective to share our love with them, to come together to see clearly, to remove that veil and honor the experience. That is where we can be eliciting change, being in the highest, lifting out of the darkness instead of that dissociation association with that first driver. It's not that complicated. Feel the love. Be the love. Share the love. And when we see something that is not like us, look at it from compassion. Look at it from the eyes of love. What would love do here? Would love be the bigger sense? Or would love find the mutual understanding? We can all understand and we can all come together in knowing the truth that all these people that are at the effect of, they need our collective light. And that is what we claim right now with great appreciation. Feel that appreciation. It lights up the inside like crazy. Appreciation that it's already happening. That this tidal wave of understanding is happening. This tidal wave of revealing is happening. So we hold it all with compassion, not judgment. Appreciating that compassion is the thing that makes it all move. So we're out of that liminal space and into the light. Appreciating that light is getting brighter and brighter and brighter. It's revealing the darkness, dispelling the darkness, eliminating those things that do not support the best and highest for all humanity. Being in great appreciation that it's already happening. Great appreciation for divine right action taking place. Divine right timing is happening now. Lighting up your heart with appreciation of that knowing. Feel the appreciation soaring through you. The first driver. Sharing that greatly. Sharing it to all of humanity. You're that grand. We're that grand. So in that appreciation, deep appreciation for this word that we're able to speak, deep appreciation that we can come together as a community, all of us, and live in that love. Deep appreciation that we were born to love, born to shine like the flippin' sun. We're born to be in this moment in time, to come together, to witness this change in our collective humanity. It's already happening. So as we come together in this deep appreciation, we're putting rocket fuel on it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you. I am so grateful to speak this word, knowing that this seed is absolutely planted and knowing that it's growing. Deep appreciation of fertilizer is lighting it up. So in this appreciation, I just release the word into the law, having faith, trust that it is already done and we are driving into it right now. Thank you. Thank you. So as I release this word into the law, I know absolutely it is done. And I allow it to be. And so it is. And so it is. So hold you. hold your kid in the back seat. Hold your friends, hold your family, and hold those people that maybe trigger that part of you that wants to get angry for their beliefs, their ideas, their stuff. Most of it is unconscious. Most of it is a dissociation from source. Doesn't mean they're not God. It means that they are in a dark hole. They're unaware that they're unaware. They've made choices in their humanness that, unfortunately, don't support all of humanity. But we can't change it by climbing into the darkness with them, can we? We can change it by holding all in the light, holding all in love, having compassion rather than judgment. We don't need to fight. When we fight, we're climbing in the back seat with them, right? We focus on those solutions that can happen right now. And there's a lot of solutions already happening. So what are your solutions? What are your choices? What will you do in this liminal space to drive through this moment with more ease and more grace, more intention? These are the things that we are called to do right now. It's our charge. So, look at these things and make those intentional, conscious choices. Be that adult. Direct your traffic. Thank you so much for joining me. This was not an easy one for me, but you know what I do? Before I ever come on here, I'm like, God, be my word. Guide me in these times where it's like, I've got something big to say for me. So thank you for being present with me. And for those who talked with me a little bit about it before time, you know who you are. Thank you for your support and your love. I greatly appreciate it. And for all of you, if this is something that you would like to share, you're welcome to. And maybe own your own word in a big way. If you've got things to say that support the betterment of all humanity, own your word. This is the time. So with that being said, I will bid you a good night or good day wherever you are in the world. And I will be back here again very soon. Much love to each and every one of you. Good night.